on the Mustangs Sports Network from Learfield. This is Mustangs Mic'd Up, featuring an in-depth look at all things SMU athletics. It's everything you need to get your Mustang fix, from the court to the gridiron. Now, here's your host of Mustangs Mic'd Up, Rich Phillips.
Good evening and welcome here to Ozona Grill and Bar for Mustangs Mic'd Up. One last football edition of the show here tonight. I am Rich Phillips. Bree Sorensen joining me here tonight for the show. Unable to have Brett Lashley here with us tonight because he had media obligations at the Holiday Bowl. They have an introductory press conference, so he wasn't able to be here. So we're going to have both coordinators here on the show. And, of course, coming up next is the Holiday Bowl for the Mustangs on Friday, January 2nd, 7 o'clock. It's on the Fox Network. I'll have it on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. And I should let you know the ticket priority deadline with the window to get the best seats in the SMU allotment closes at noon tomorrow. So you need to reach out to the ticket office or go to SMUmustangs.com by noon tomorrow to get the best seats in the SMU allotment for the Holiday Bowl. All right, well, first up here on Mustangs Mic'd Up tonight, let's welcome in SMU defensive coordinator and safeties coach, Scott Symons. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good to have you here.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
Getting ready to play dad, going to basketball here shortly, I know.
Yes,
so
sir.
Glad you could work us in here tonight. Just finished up your fourth season here as defensive coordinator at SMU, 8-4 this year. That's 8 wins, by the way, in 5 of the last 7 years, at 7 straight years with at least 7 wins. That had never happened in program history. So Rhett and I talk about this a lot. It's trying to make things the norm and the standard, and that's kind of what you guys have been able to do here, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it is, and I think that's, obviously how the regular season ended was really tough, bittersweet. In particular for me, I didn't put our guys in the best situation, coach to the best of our abilities, and have them prepared, and we definitely didn't play our best game to finish, which was been a tough couple of weeks to swallow. But on a positive kind of to that note, that's the expectation that we have, is to be playing in meaningful games and chance to play in a conference championship every single season. And so, I think anytime that we're building that expectation within our program year in and year out, that's a positive thing to look at and definitely draw from. So.
Yeah, as Rich just said, you're finishing up your fourth season here, and you've seen SMU just grow every single year. I mean, as SMU's been growing as a team, how have you seen yourself grow as a coach year over year?
Yeah, I think, in today's day and age, trying to figure out, what do you have on your team? What's your roster as far as your personnel makeup? I think that was probably one of the biggest struggles that we went through this season in particular, just because we had so many returners last year. And so I think, after every season you have to self-reflect on what are the areas that I have to improve on. What do we have to improve on defense? You're trying to fix those things during the season, but a lot of times you can only put a Band-Aid so far in the middle of a year. So I think doing a good job of, analyzing, hey, what are the positives that we're doing here? I think the culture that we have on defense is very strong. I think our kids play really hard. I think they believe in each other. I think when you look at the amount of good players that we've had stay and not transfer to other schools, I think that speaks volumes to the assistant coaches on our staff, their ability to coach and develop guys. So I think those are all really things that I think oftentimes go maybe overlooked when you don't realize how good it's been that we've been able to keep and maintain a culture and build upon that year in and year out. But then, I think every year there's a self-reflection as a staff, self-scout and analysis. So what do we have to do better schematically? Obviously right now for us, 2-minute defense has killed us in our three of our losses. And so looking at those things, how are we working it? How are we practicing? What are we implementing? What's our backup plan if certain guys are out? So you're always looking at those things and trying to fine tune it and improve upon that. And then I think as just a coach, you always want to grow schematically in your knowledge for the game. And so being a lifelong learner, going and studying other people, other colleges, breaking down film, going and meeting with NFL staffs, what are things that people are doing differently? How can we gain a competitive edge? And then trying to build a system that works for the team that we have. Because every team, we changed a lot from this year to last year. And I think we'll have to do a deep dive on what are our strengths coming out of spring as we get into spring. And then how do we have to build, our defensive structure around what our strengths are. And so we won't really know that until obviously middle of January. into February. I do think we have a really good foundation of some talented high school kids that we've signed, in this last class, and then moving forward, this current class, the last 2 classes really. And so I think we're trending where we're always going to have a good foundation and base to be able to build upon, and then you can use the transfer portal to supplement your roster as needed, which is what we want to do to be, a sustainable program. And so, yeah, you're going to look at all those things, positive and negative, year in and year out.
Yeah, when you talk about that roster management and roster building, I mean, when you came into this year, the front 6 that started last year, none of those guys were back. Yep. You had 3 guys come back that played at all here last year. How much of a challenge was that? And by the way, by midseason they were rolling pretty good, but how much of a challenge was it to get that built back up front?
And I think that's one thing that Coach and I have talked about once we conclude this season, kind of looking at maybe how some self-scout analysis of what we're doing in the spring and the summertime to maybe get our guys more prepared. That was one thing, I was looking at just really since we've been here. We've never started the season off great. Even the year we won the American, we lose 2 games early. The year before it was BYU, Nevada. This year we struggled. Even in the Commerce game, we didn't. I walked away. I was like, we're not playing good football. And we didn't give up a lot of points that game. But it was just early on. It was very evident. So, I think it's a big challenge. I think it's something that I did think our staff did a great job from where we started to where we got them. I just, was disappointed with obviously how we finished the regular season, but I'm really excited for an opportunity to play a great opponent. This is arguably maybe the most talented all the way well-versed offense we play, ability to run the ball, quarterback that can run, throw. So it'll be a big-time challenge. And our practices so far have been great. Our guys have had great energy. I think the the disappointment of how the season ended, that it was a tough year. Our losses were really hard losses. In the 15 years, 14 years coordinating, I don't know if I've had that many heartbreaking losses ever in a season. They just kind of cut your soul out, so to speak. But really proud of how our kids have responded, eager and excited to go to a great bowl. So, that's definitely, to answer your question, was a big challenge as far as trying to – you had 3 returning starters essentially on defense.
All right, Coach, it is time for our Mustang Minute. So these are some quick, rapid-fire questions. I want to do kind of like a team superlative ones about your defensive unit, okay? So about your players specifically. Who would you trust to babysit your 4 kids?
Can I say Jonathan McGill? He graduated.
Oh,
he's a GA.
I mean, who wouldn't pick Jonathan McGill? Yeah,
he's a GA. He's in the building. No, I would say probably – it's a good one. Isaiah Wacobia, probably.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Who would you want being your own personal bodyguard?
Ooh. I would say Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, Big Jeffrey, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't think he's going to get into many fights when he walks through the door.
Not at all.
So
that makes sense. All right, Coach. You're from Texas, about 45 minutes from here, Hurst, Texas. So Tex-Mex or barbecue?
Tex-Mex.
Okay. What's your order?
Chimichanga. So, and here's why. Once you leave the state of Texas, there's no good Mexican food anywhere. You can find good barbecue food. So
100%.
We keep Gloria's in South Lake and Gloria's in Colleyville and Mi Casina in South Lake. We keep them in business.
Yes, great choices.
To the point where I'm like, I don't need any more Mexican food.
No
so
Mexican.
Yes.
Are you queso or guac guy?
I'm queso. She's guac. So I make homemade guac at the house because when you live someplace that doesn't have great Mexican, you have to learn how to make it yourself. So she's a guacamole. I'm queso.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. That's it for the Mustang Minute. Thank you, Coach.
I'm with you for the exact same reason, by the way, on Mexican over barbecue. Absolutely. Can't get it anywhere else.
You can go. I mean, I'm not saying that it's better than Texas, but you can get barbecue in Georgia, Carolina, but their Mexican food, it all stinks.
100%.
So,
as we just mentioned, you're a local guy from Hurst, went to Fort Worth Christian School. Did you ever expect you'd have an opportunity like this to be back home and coaching essentially in your hometown, in the Metroplex?
Well, I think when you start out as a young coach, you're just, you're trying to make the job you're at the best job possible. And you've got goals and aspirations of, what you want to achieve. But to say that I would ever come home and be coaching at, a school in the Metroplex, no, I don't know that I ever really thought about that. And then once, you've done it long enough and the opportunity presents itself, like I've said before, it's something that has been a blessing to my wife, my family, just to have my parents here, my brothers and sisters here. Like I said, my son's got a basketball game. My dad will be able to be at that game, watch him play. As a college coach, that we move a lot. A lot of times our parents miss out on the opportunities to be grandparents and be able to do some of those things. So it's been really neat.
You brought up the importance of that family aspect. You have 4 kids. Coach Woods, who we're about to interview, has 5 kids. I know Coach Lashley has a few kids himself. I mean, how does he promote that family-friendly atmosphere within this SMU football program?
Yeah, he talks about, making babies, breeding. No, he's just awesome as far as letting our kids come around the facility. And, he wants to hire people that not only are good coaches, but I think people that he respects as far as, what type of husbands, what type of dads they are. I think those things are really important to him with the type of people that he has hired and put on the staff. And so I've been staffs where, kids are welcome, but they don't ever really feel welcome. Now, I don't live close to campus, so my kids don't come around as much, especially, during the summertime they do a lot. But it's that atmosphere of, have your kids up here on Sunday, or, they can come to practice, those type of things. And then I appreciate it because, he's a dad first, and a head coach second, which is not an easy, thing to manage.
These days we got a lot of players' kids around too.
Yeah.
Players are older right now because of COVID,
Yep.
but there's 5 or 6 guys, I think, with kids.
Yeah. It's no, that's we got, I think Romello just had his second. So we got some that have multiple. So.
Well, speaking of local, 23 new signees were announced 2 weeks ago in your high school recruiting class. 15 from Texas, 9 from the DFW area, which I do believe led all P4 schools. Selling Dallas's college seems to be working, doesn't it?
Well, I think there's a lot of very very real, genuine coaches that have deep ties and connection here. I think our coaching staff worked really hard in the recruiting efforts, and I think over the last 2 to 3 years, you see the trajectory of this program and kind of what we've been able to do, and trying to have that sustained, continued level of success. And when you couple that with a degree from SMU, you couple that with being in the city of Dallas, there's a lot of things that make us a really desirable place for young men to go to school. And I think that's important. I think it's important not just to identify and recruit great players, but find great fits to SMU. And I think for the most part, we've done a really good job of that. I think in a day and age where, kids can leave your program every year to 2 years, it's got to be about relationships, coaching, and development, but also understanding that you're coming to SMU not just to play football, but the quality of the degree and the connections and the networking you can make at this place.
Like you mentioned, you got so many DFW kids, which is awesome. But for those non-DFW kids, how much easier is it to sell a place like Dallas?
Yeah, I think, everybody's different. But most kids want to go to school in a big city. A college town is great on game day, but then what they have to realize, or a lot of times what they do realize, they go there and then they're there in the spring and realize there's nothing to do. Outside of those 5-6 home games, then there's really nobody here throughout the rest of the year. So I think all the things that you have in the city, and then but Highland Park is its own entity. It's completely separate from the city. It's a safe bubble for these guys to be in and go to school and live at. So, I think to a lot of kids it's really appealing.
One guy I know you're pretty excited about is the JUCO transfer you got. I'm going to try this. David Chukwuemeka.
You would have to ask Coach Dunham. He actually pronounced it for me.
He's an interesting story, though. He hadn't played a lot of football, has he?
He has not. No, he has not. Ton of upside, and we just felt like, with losing 2 guys and needing to get some – a couple older guys in there, and we just felt like his upside was too big to pass up on, and so excited to have him here in the spring.
All right, the Holiday Bowl coming up January 2nd, facing 9-3 Arizona. They've won their last 5 games. You said it earlier. They look really balanced on the offensive side. Tell us about really good at quarterback, solid at running back too.
Yeah, starts with the quarterback. I think the ability to run the football, the ability to throw the ball down the field. can make every throw. Really, really savvy, experienced quarterback that's been really successful there and really helped build them to a level they hadn't been at in a long time. I think they had one season, maybe it's 2019, 2020, that they had a really good year. But so they're playing very confident, running the football, being balanced, and so it'll definitely be a big challenge. I think the receivers are all really good. Like when you look, they've got 3, 4, 5 guys with multiple catches throughout the year and throughout games. A tight end that's a quality tight end. So in a solid O-line. So like I said, it's arguably it might be the most. I don't know if they're quite as talented maybe as Miami, but as far as a well-balanced with maybe the best quarterback, probably the best quarterback that we've seen this season.
Yeah, this game's so important to just go out on a strong note to end the season. It's also important for these seniors, especially with an opponent like Arizona. But how has the energy been around practice and just the motivation of this team going into this game?
Yeah, I think, like when we played in the Fenway Bowl, there was a lot of disappointment that year because we felt like we should have been in a better bowl. And we tried to make the bowl game, and the practices really fun and kind of a little bit more laid back. And, I think we've tried to do that. I've been other places that have tried to do that. And we told the guys at the beginning of the week, like, we're going to win this game. And we're preparing this whole week like we're playing the game this Saturday. It's a normal work week. And really proud of how our guys have responded. I don't think that there's a lot of programs with the same commitment level as our kids, maybe at some places in the country. And so I think they're committed. They want to win. We started practice with pursuit drill and tackle circuits today, like we would a fall camp and like we would a Tuesday work practice. And in the past, we haven't done that as much. It's been more like, hey, let's have fun with it. No, we want to win the game. And we're going to put everything we can into winning this game, into calling the best game that we can and put our kids in the right situations. And we'll need them to play at a high level and execute, but we want them locked in. And, when we're there and there's stuff going on, I want them to enjoy it. But when we have our 2-3 hours a day with them for bowl practice at the site, I expect it to be like we're playing for a conference championship game, that level of urgency, because we haven't won a bowl game here in quite some time. And we've been to enough that it's about time we win one. So, that's kind of been the focus, and I've been really, really pleased with that.
I'm with you on that. It's been a while.
Yeah.
You as the safeties coach also, in addition to being DC, it's got to be tough knowing this is the last time you're going to coach Isaiah Wagobia and Ahmad Moses playing for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Two guys that just have meant so much to this program. Ahmad, we're so proud of how he's grown from a leadership standpoint, and really just seeing him growing up, in front of my eyes from when he was a freshman to where he's at now, and the confidence and the level of commitment that he's displayed, and Isaiah, just how he's grown throughout the since we've gotten here to kind of being in the doghouse with the previous safeties coach and not playing and having some injuries to then growing and developing. So two guys that we'll definitely miss, and but it's their job to pay it forward and help bring that next group of guys along the way. So, when we hit January, February, and begin going with this next year's team, that the drop-off's not there, and we can continue to push the envelope and hopefully improve and play at even higher level. But definitely we'll miss them.
Like you said, it's great to make these last memories, with this roster that you'll never have again. I heard that you guys in San Diego are going to SeaWorld. You're going to the Navy base. I mean, how much fun is it to go with your players? I know you said your kids are excited about the zoo and SeaWorld. How much fun is it to make not only play a football game, but make these other memories as well with this roster?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. It's I think you have all these different guys that don't want to play in bowl games, or you see teams say we're not playing in bowl game. You know what? We've got to have the maturity and the and the finish mentality that we've had here to understand that this is still a big honor, and this is a huge bowl game and one of the top bowl games in the country. And so we want to be able to enjoy those times together and those memories together. And then, like I said, when it's time to focus on the task at hand, be able to separate those two things and be able to lock back in. And so I'm excited. I know my kids have never been to SeaWorld, so that's something they're looking forward to. I know San Diego Zoo's, supposed to be the top zoo in the United States. So, they're really looking forward to some of those things, and I'm looking forward to enjoying that with them too.
Well, awesome. I look forward to enjoying some of it out there. I don't think I'll make the zoo or the SeaWorld, but I look forward to the game. That's Scott Symons, SMU defensive coordinator. Thanks for joining us, Scott. Always good to talk to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is Scott Symons, and we're going to have the offensive coordinator, Casey Woods, up here in just a moment on Mustangs Mic'd Up. We're brought to you by the SMU Cox School of Business. 84% of recent SMU Cox School of Business executive MBA graduates were promoted in as few as 12 months after earning their degrees. We help senior leaders achieve their goals, from advancing to the C-suite to launching a business and more. See what SMU Cox can do for you. Visit smu.edu/Cox/Mustangs. And we will have offensive coordinator Casey Woods up here next on Mustangs Mic'd Up. Welcome back here to Mustangs Mic'd Up. We do this here at Ozona Grill and Bar on Greenville Avenue. Ozona has the best patio in town and happy hour from 4 to 7 every Sunday through Friday. Enjoy $1 off bar drinks and complimentary chips and salsa. Ozona Grill and Bar, find your comfort zone. By the way, we will be back here beginning in January again on Wednesday nights for our Mustangs Mic'd Up, the spring edition. That's going to be a basketball intensive show. We'll have each show will have either Andy Enfield or Adia Barnes or both of the basketball coaches on it. We'll have 5 shows of the spring starting on Wednesday, January 7th here at Ozona Grill and Bar. All right, let's welcome our second guest. It's the Mustangs Chief of Staff, Offensive Coordinator, and Tight Ends Coach, Casey Woods. The man with the biggest business card in the business.
It's a long one. It's multiple lines. But, yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Hey.
What an awesome crowd. Great opportunity to get out here tonight.
Fancy dressed here and all because, kind of like Scott, playing dad today too,
Yep,
right?
That's right. Daughter's recital, so I leave work and go to work. So
Very good.
opportunity to
Well, and like Scott, just finishing up your 4th season here at SMU, you and Rhett Lashley first worked together at Auburn, right?
That's correct.
And then both of you were with Scott at Arkansas State in 2012.
Also correct.
Did you ever think all 3 of you would be together doing this at this level?
You know, I think that I always saw greatness in Rhett Lashley. I think that we were really impressed by Scott the one year that we were able to spend with him. Obviously, to watch his career take off, when we had an opportunity to hire him, that was like a no-brainer. The fact that he would consider coming back here and believing in what Coach Lashley, the vision that he had. And so, man, it was an awesome honor to get him back on our staff. It's been nothing. I think there's testament to the fact that both he and I are sitting up here in our 4th year and Coach Lashley's 4th year. And when you look at the entirety of our staff, we're really looking at, I think, 7 out of 10 coaches are still in our 4th year.
Right.
So I think that there's what Coach Lashley has done, testament to him. Now he's created a culture that people want to be in, and that starts with us. That starts with our staff and our families. And then, the 3 guys that have left to go to take raises or better opportunities or promotions. And so I think that we've created an environment that people want to be a part of, and man, that's credit to Coach on that.
Yeah, Coach, looking at the season as a whole, looking back, how have you seen this team's offense specifically just grow and improve from week 1 until now?
Have really taken off. I think we've played really good offensive football this last month of the season. I wish we'd have played a better first half, that last game that we played, but we really took off. And, I mean, you're looking at an offense that scored on its last 4 drives, in a 14-minute window to really have an opportunity to win that game. And we said that we wanted to break. We really had a poor performance there mid-season in North Carolina. We came back and talked about what we wanted to do moving forward, and it was fun to watch our guys buy into that. I think you want to break at the right time. I think we were breaking at the right time on offense, and certainly we look to maintain that momentum into this bowl game. And sometimes there's a lapse, when you have those 4 or 5 weeks off. I know there was kind of an abrupt halt, a disappointing, finish the way it was, but I don't think that can overshadow what we were able to do. And I think that we challenged them. We grew throughout the course of it. We had new starters on our offense, and in order to be able to grow, and we got out of some of the, I don't know if like immaturity or incompleteness that we had early in the season, to make sure that we started playing at a consistent level. And I thought we really hit that later in November. So, excited. We need that to carry over to the bowl game, for our own offense, for the 26 team to celebrate what this group of guys has done. You're looking at a team that's won 30 games in the last 3 years, 38 in the last 4. And so we've got a chance to make this 39th, really just add an exclamation point to what it is. So it's, from an offensive standpoint, I think that we were playing really good football through November. And I think that our challenge is to, finish that thing up here here in a couple weeks.
It was year 2 with Kevin Jennings as your starting quarterback, first full year. Of course, he took over, week 4 last year. Finished the 9th in the nation in passing yards, 12th in passing touchdowns. And I just think, because I watch him every single week, his stats just don't tell the story about what he does for you.
No, I think that's a great point. I think that our offense goes as Kevin goes, and we've got to do as much as we can to continue to support him and do that. But he is really a unique player. He's a guy that we're confident that we feel, really good about. We got one more year with him. Here he is coming in. He's going to be a big part of as we go out to – that's right. Yeah. It's going to be a big part of what it is that we do next year, well, obviously offensively, but as far as building our roster, right, we're losing – 4 of our top receivers, our starting, running back who just rushed for 700 yards. It's like we got a bunch of seniors that are walking out of the door here. We got to make sure that we can reload and do that. And obviously when you have a guy like Kevin who's come in and done those things, he believes in this place. He came here out of high school, and, we're really proud to have him on our team, really proud to utilize him, when we get to the transfer portal, and we got to make sure that we've got a team that's built and ready to go. We're really confident in those young guys and just, strategic kind of positions where we got to make sure that we're supplemented and ready to go. And I think that he's going to be the guy that's going to have a chance to take us to, again, compete for a championship next year.
Have there been any other players that have really shocked you this season, or that you're just really proud of the way that they've grown game after game this season?
I'm really proud of Matthew Hibner, and I think we all knew what Matt Hibner could be, but to watch him develop and grow, this guy is like a mutant. No tight end in my career has ever played more than 45 good snaps a game, and Matt averages 66 right now.
Wow.
So it's just super rare specifically for what we do offensively. Right, and the tempo with which we play and all the various things that we ask him to do within the offense. You generally like to have 2 guys that are in the rotation and operating all the time, and we've done that, and we were able to support that. And thank God for R.J. Maryland and what a career he's had, and making sure that we put ourselves in position. But Matt, man, to really watch him flourish, I'm really proud of him. He's a guy that believed in us, that came from a unique situation there at Michigan and was able to come in here and as he's changed the course of his football life, hopefully his entire life. But it has been a lot of fun to watch him develop. And probably second one, quietly, is Savion Byrd. He's a guy that came in here, which fought, was part-time starter last year, played multiple different positions. But you talk about just somebody that loves football, shows up and grinds every day, loves ball, loves practice, just is all about showing up, and it doesn't matter what happens, man. Tough, rugged dude. He's the definition of what you want, of a football player on that offensive line that Coach Justice has created. And it's been fun to watch him have the success in the second half of the season that we all thought he could have when he got here.
There is no guy who is more polite to me at practice and friendly to me at practice every time I come out than Savion Byrd.
Birdman.
And I was shocked the first time. It's this big, huge, burly offensive lineman, and he's not friendly when the ball is snapped. But, boy, he's quite a character, isn't he?
He's a great kid, and he's funny. He's the Birdman. He's his own character for sure.
You mentioned your 2 tight ends, R.J. Maryland and Matt Hibner, who, by the way, every time I watched him play, I'm like, how did Michigan not throw in the ball? But that's a different conversation. But that's your position. That's a huge hole you got to replace there, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. And we didn't talk about Stone Eby. You talk about a guy that came in here out of high school as a defensive lineman and played linebacker and then played offensive line, and then he was just a vagabond for a couple years and then finally found his role. He's contributed. He's a guy that's played 20 snaps a game. Those are 3 enormously productive players. I said at the beginning of the season, I would still argue that this is the top tight end room in the ACC. And yeah, 3 of those guys are walking out of here. Now, I think, we went through signing day. We signed the number 1 tight end in the state of Texas. We signed a guy that's on a top 5 team in California. Both of those are freshmen coming in. Certainly, we've got some returners that have built quality reps that we feel good about that. I think that there's a transfer portal need that exists right there, and that's a place where somebody like Kevin and the offense that we've been able to produce can do that. We've got guys that have left Dallas and gone to other schools that are, the beauty about what we've been able to do, the beauty about what Kevin gives us is they're calling us right now, and there's a few times in your life where the prettiest girl in the bar comes up and talks to you. But it's right now we're happy. We've got an opportunity to do that, and the culture that we've built here has spread. What Kevin gives us and what our success and alignment and really, I mean, we say this a lot. It takes all of us to win. It takes all of us to recruit, and it takes in modern college football. It takes all of us to retain players, and so and all of us isn't just me. It's you, and it's y'all sitting out here, right? It's Kevin Knox. Man, I was hanging out with him just a minute ago, and what Cox School of Business has done for us is incredible, and what he provides just on a day-to-day basis. He understands the fact that him spending time 1 hour with a kid that we've got on campus that Matt Hibner.
Yeah.
There's a guy there.
He already is MBA there. Yep.
He signed him, right?
Yep.
So. That's a guy now. He's a guy that's got an undergraduate degree from Michigan and a graduate degree from SMU before he played his senior season. Man, you talk about going and selling that in recruiting. Mm-hmm. Man, now that's why they're calling us, is because of the success stories like that, and that's everyone's investment in that. Kevin's a great example of that.
All right, Coach, it's time for my favorite part of the show, the Mustang Minute here, okay? A few rapid-fire, fun questions, get to know you a little better.
Oh, boy.
If you weren't coaching football, what do you think you'd do for a career path?
Well, 5 years ago, I would have had a very different answer. I think I would probably be a pastor now.
Okay. I love it.
But 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that.
My source said you'd be a good salesman because you can talk.
Well, I don't know. Do you believe me? What are you?
All right. I heard, my source told me also, every Thursday at practice, you dress like another coach during walkthrough.
You did rat me out.
When did that start?
Oh, that's a really old, probably boring story. I do call it Dress Like Your Favorite Coach Thursday. And I've been doing it all 4 years since I've been here. It started back in my GA days. We all thought it was funny. And back then, all the GAs did it together. Now I'm just the one, guy that's out there dressed like a different coach every week at practice.
So a different one on this staff?
Every Thursday, man.
Wow.
Come
You guys
on.
don't dress that different.
Come to Dress Like Your Favorite. I'm pretty detailed.
Okay.
Who's the best dressed coach then? Like, who do you think has the best style?
Well, style's different, right? Some of them look really good. Sam Dunham's really highly dressed. Eric King, those guys are pretty quality in what they do. Some of them are easy targets, like Rob Likens. Easy target, man. That was maybe my masterpiece this year with the cutoff shirt, but it's
camo hat,
But it's a fun thing. Hey, Thursday morning we get a chance to get out. I kind of lag behind the locker room, see what they're wearing, put on, and slide out. But it's some people are like, that guy's a joker, and some people are like, hey, are you your Coach Hunley today? And I was like, yeah. So it's the one that's the hardest to get is Coach Lashley, because he just, he's got clothes that no one else has, and he's got hats that I've never seen.
The shoe game,
and
too.
His
the
shoes
shoe game
are
goes
unbelievable.
crazy.
It's hard for me to show up and have any sort of competitive factor versus him, but we try to put it together.
I love it. Okay. This next scenario, let's hope it never happens, but all the coaches are running late to practice, okay? What position group would you let run practice while you aren't there?
Oh, quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks for sure. They can run
sure.
it. That makes sense.
They know what's going on, where everyone's supposed to be, and they'll do a pretty good job. I would have said tight ends, but next year it's y'all are going to be like, who's the tight ends coach?
Perfect. Thanks, Coach. That's it for the Mustang Minute.
Absolutely.
I believe we've talked about this in years past when you've been on the show. This is what you were absolutely destined to do, right? There was nothing else you planned to do besides coaching football?
Well, I'm a coach's kid.
Right.
Grew up in it. Been training for this for 42 years. My parents were kind of resistant to me coaching, but they put me right in the middle of it when I was 5 years old. So I've been doing it ever since then. So I had to overcome, hey, what are you going to, my mom's like, are you, they were like, don't be a football coach. Don't be a football coach. My dad wanted me to get a different degree. So I went and I was a double major in psychology and political science, ended up getting my master's in sports psychology, kind of started a doctorate in sports psychology, and then we got fired at Tennessee and I never went back to school. But I knew early on that I wanted to get into coaching. I always wanted to get into coaching. I pushed through that resistance from my parents. And you know what? That was kind of a good bump for me. It was a way for me to say, no, this is what I want to do. And when I stood up and did it, boy, I've had great support from them ever since. But yes, I never knew a life of not coaching football. Yeah.
Now, do any of your kids now want to coach one day?
My son does. God bless him. I don't think he knows what it's. I don't know if he knows it's a touchdown or field goal right now. But but I tell you what he loves is he loves the players, and he loves the coaches, and he loves the coaches' kids, and he loves game day, and he loves y'all, and he loves the pageantry of what it was going on. He's fallen in love with the sport without really knowing what's going on. So he says he does. I don't know that he knows like everything that he wants to do yet. But my other 4 daughters, so they're good. They may want to do it too one day, but man, they're the ones. I just hope I got one of them that'll take care of me when I get older.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Of course, when you got here, this was a totally different place, I think. Now it's a P4 school in the ACC. How much has your job changed from first day here to now?
Yeah, it's funny how God prepares you through those sort of things. It's changed dramatically. It's a completely different job. And so it was, I was working for one of my best friends in the business, not looking to leave the Southeastern Conference, but I took a chance on another one of my best friends in the business, have a chance to coordinate. We got here. I think that Coach, who had been a coordinator, and me coming into that role, and Coach came in with the offense that he had, even though we were raised up in the same one, and then he brought his offensive line coach and his quarterback coach and his receivers coach. So I was kind of the outsider that was coming in, figuring out what to do, how do we blend that and bring everybody together and make sure that we are able to do that. And we've played really good offense. We found a way to do that through the course of the 4 years. He has, the chief of staff title is really just a fancy way of saying this is stuff I don't want to deal with, KCC. You got it. And that's good. That's I've got an ultimate career goal of being a head coach. So, any reps and practice that I can get from that is awesome. But I do think that certainly the responsibility, the exposure, obviously SMU is always something that's kind of, people have always had an eye on just because of the history that exists here. But what we've been able to do on a consistent basis, I think you mentioned the wins and everything that's gone on in the last 6 to 7 years here, has been incredible. SMU was a great place before we got here. It was destined for greatness. We hit it at the right time. I think the alignment is great. The success, obviously, is the biggest factor that we've been able to pour into. And, what an awesome time to be here. And my job responsibility's grown. But I've told Coach Lashley every December, man, like the more you can give me, the more I want to take off your plate and help. And our staff has grown. I think we got here, we had 26 full-time employees. I think we've got 48 now. And you're talking, we serve a staff every day of close to 200. So he's the CEO of a major organization, and they don't pay him enough.
Yeah, I love to talk about just your relationship with Coach Lashley from the beginning. You were with him at Auburn, Arkansas State. You've been with him for so long. So what were those years like before coming to SMU? Like, how did you guys keep in contact over all those years? Just tell me a little bit about how your relationship from day one was until growing into what it is now.
Yeah, well, we're almost inbred at this point, but it's so we did. We came into this business together for sure. I started in 2008 at Tennessee. He came in 2009. And we kind of met up there at Auburn. I had played for a guy named Trooper Taylor who works down at Texas A&M now, and Troop ended up on Gene Chizik's first staff at Auburn in 2009. Obviously, Coach Malzahn was the offensive coordinator. Essentially, Troop got me to volunteer to go down there and coach, and I did it. And but met Rhett, and he was like day one, man, friendly and welcoming and understanding. He's warm. He's got the same competitive spirit he does now. We both liked Jim Carrey movies, and we laughed about those and told a bunch of early on jokes. We were competitive against each other. So early on, it was fun because you found like, man, here's a buddy. We're getting in this thing together. I thank God every day because this is the graduate assistant's dream, right? We were there, both of us. We made a combined like $12,000 if we added all of our stuff together, and it was. And we were just trying to start, right? We had big dreams and we had hopes, and we won the national championship in 2010, and it was me, him, and Eli Drinkwitz, who's the head coach at Missouri, where all three of us were the entry-level coaches, So, success begets success, but I've been super proud of watching him grow and establish, and he's taken great steps every step of the way. A lot of people in this business, because I grew up in this business, so from the time I was 5 years old, right? Not the exposure, the fame, it's fleeting, but the fame, right? My dad was a head coach in the SEC, so I know how fleeting it can be. But the fame that exists there and the money, right, can really change people. And I think he's a guy who's grounded in his faith. I think his wife is unbelievable and does a great job. Like her and my wife are super close, and so that's been really cool. And but he's a guy that's not changed. and he's not allowed this, what you're talking about, the escalation of what this job has become on the national stage. And he sees it as a responsibility to serve college football right now because it's a mess and it's at risk, and it's more popular than it's ever been, which is great. We all get to capitalize off of that, but we also got to make sure that we're prudent in taking on these problems head on and making sure that we address them and that we take advantage of it to win, because we all understand that the platform that we have right now is only dependent on the fact that we win games. And there's not anybody that's more competitive than him, but there's not anybody that's more invested in his players than Rhett Lashley is. And man, he cares about them and he loves them and he tells them that, and they know that and they sense that. And you know what? I think that's why in January, right, last January, they did a study of the least number of outgoing transfers in all of college football, and SMU was number 136, right? So we were dead last. We had 3 outgoing transfers in the previous 18 months. So really, 136 makes you first, right? We had the least number of outgoing players in our entire organization in all of college football. So a lot. Yeah.
It's hard to do.
That's right. And if you can. Everybody talks culture. Hey, we have a great culture. And right, culture is one of those things that you can talk about, but you have to experience, right, to really have an understanding of. But if there's any quantitative stat that you can say, this is good culture, it's how many people are leaving.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about the staff earlier, right, and how that state is, there's been continuity with that. You see our team and how many people have left that at that point. And so, man, super proud of him. Super proud of him. It's fun that we can still get into Rhett and Casey moments, but most of the time it's Coach Woods and Coach Lashley, and we certainly have that. But he's been genuine. He's been humble. He hasn't let this place change him, and you got a really good head coach. So happy for y'all. Happy for us.
Let's talk briefly recruiting here. In the recruiting class you guys just signed a couple weeks ago, I cannot tell you how excited I am that after all these years, you guys finally signed somebody from my alma mater, Lake Highlands High School. It's not like it's far away.
Let's go, man. Wildcat country. I live in Lake Highlands.
Christian Rhodes, running back out of Lake Highlands.
See Rhodes, man. He can go.
By the way, he's one of 2 4-star running backs, right, with Edward Kelly out of Pine High School.
I think there's only 4 schools in the entire country that signed 2 4-star running backs, and we're the whole country, guys. And we're one of those 4. So it was the other one was like Notre Dame and Southern Cal and SMU, man. Let's go. So yeah. So, yes, really love both those guys, love Christian and EJ. I think that you can kind of see what we've finally been able to do. This is the first class. I mean, we have a great celebration of the success, but I don't think sometimes that everybody can sit back and take measure of what we've actually done over the course of the last 18 months, transitioning from the American Conference into the ACC. I mean, we're an 8-win team in the American 900 days ago. You know what I mean? Right. And so now here we sit and we're 38 wins later. And so we've got and so what we've been able to do is we joined the ACC. So the class of 2026, this class that we just signed, is the first class that we've been able to recruit the entire way through. So last year was the first one as an ACC team, but we only got to recruit them for less than a year. So by that time they had collected, the way that college football recruiting works anymore is if you're not in on them by freshman and sophomore year, then you ain't in. So it's, so the fact that we've been able to recruit that, I think that you've finally seen the fruits of that labor. And I think we signed the number 1 offensive line class in the entire country. Mm-hmm. And so that's credit to Coach Justice. And I'm talking dudes, right? It's not, I don't know when the last time on signing day SMU flipped an Alabama commitment and a Texas commitment on the same day. So both of those were in the offensive line room. Both of those are guys that could come in here and be instant impact guys in our 2 deep, if not pushing that starting, opportunity to play some. So, really excited about that. Signed a great quarterback. He was our first commitment, helped us build this class. 2 4-star running backs like you talked about. I think we've got 4 great young receivers to add to these receivers that we just took. I think we will have, you give us another, this time a year from now, they're going to be talking about, man, SMU's got the best wide receiver core in the Atlantic Coast Conference, right? And so we got to do that. Now, if we can just get the tight end coach to go get that out and supplement some of those guys.
What's he doing?
Right? Come on, Kevin. Man, you got to go to work, man.
Well, the Holiday Bowl coming up here on January 2nd. Arizona a defense that allows less than 19 points a game. They don't give up anything in the pass game.
No, they're salty, and they are tough, and they are well coached, and they play hard, and they're old, and they are unique in the things that it is that they do, and they believe in who they are. Which is great, because that's kind of who we are, right? We believe in who we are offensively. They believe in who they are defensively. So now we got a chance to get out there, and they're going to create confusion. They're going to create problems. They're going to create – what they do is they create negative plays. And when they create negative plays, either it puts you in off-schedule calls, right? Now I'm calling a 2nd and 13 call. Or it puts you in a frustration call. Okay, now I got to press. I got to make this extra call to make up for this previous lack of call. And so they create frustration. They're great. They're great at doing it. They got a good defense coordinator. They're well coached. They got good players. They got some Texas players on the defense that do a good job. But I think our kids understand that. I think they know that. I could see how playing Arizona on a Tuesday, Wednesday short week, and I got to go in there and say, it's hard to watch them and think any of this makes sense. But as you got more time to digest and develop and watch, boy, you can see patterns in what it is that they try to do. There was, we played Navy a few years ago, and boy, they were one of those. It looks like, man, they're a dial of defense. But then you get in there and you really see, well, all right, this is this one field blitz call where they play cover 3. And this is their one call where they're trying to get to single high. And this is the one call right here where they're playing maybe man or something, And so you can kind of see those patterns develop as you watch that. And I think we got a really good plan. We jumped into that this week with our game plan and stuff. We'll have an opportunity to hit our situational stuff over the course of the next couple of days and put ourselves in position to, go compete. We understand how big of an opportunity this is. What an amazing bowl. Looking back over the course of just the record books, I don't know that I've seen a bowl game that's showed up on SMU's schedule like this since probably the Cotton Bowl in 1983. So, awesome opportunity for our guys.
Yeah, Coach, with the bowl game and in practice, how is this an opportunity, not for only obviously your seniors to play for that last time, but also for your 2026 roster, for them to start getting reps in and practicing and seeing what they can do as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we've really addressed that early on in these first 2 weeks, right? We practiced, kind of get them back sweating again Thursday, Friday, but then this is really our first week of work. And so, yes, I think that we've tried to tie in every single practice to a 3 or 4 period investment in the future, right? Hey, everybody, seniors are out. No, you can't put that. No, he's a senior, right? He's out. And so you got to make sure, and that forces guys like Draymond Odoms and some of these freshmen that we've brought in the past that, you didn't have to count on as much this year, that kind of traveled and played in those fringe. I think it makes it more real to them. And I think that they get super valuable reps in a high team setting. And you know what? It puts us in position to allow us to evaluate, all right, we got the transfer portal season coming up here. Who's going to be ready this time of year from now? Who's not? And we get to bank invaluable reps, right? So we're spending half the time trying to build this exclamation point towards this team, right? Let's make sure that we honor this team and everything this team's accomplished. And we got a great bowl game with, great opportunity to finish in a great location. And then at the same time, hey, let's give a snap. Let's show these guys what it looks like into the future. We got spring practice coming up in less than 3 months, so we got to make sure that we are dialed up and ready to go. So that part's been invaluable for us, and I think that we're really starting to develop. Again, that class of 25, that was kind of the first one that was our ACC class that was half in and half, didn't understand, but they're getting here. But it was the best class we'd ever signed until this class that we've signed. And so so it's great to get them work, and I think that this is invaluable time that we're not pressing to go win a game on Saturday, so we don't have to have the pressure of that, so we can focus on really being intentional about preparing for Arizona and then also repping these young guys.
It is the Holiday Bowl. It's Friday, January 2nd, 7 o'clock. It'll be on Fox Network, and I'll have it on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. Casey, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Man,
thanks, Scott, as well.
Pleasure. Go Mustangs.
Good to talk to both of you guys.
Yeah.
Reminder, we will be back here beginning on Wednesday, January 7th for our spring shows. It will be basketball heavy here for Mustangs mic'd up here at Ozona Grill and Bar. Bree Sorensen, thanks for joining me again here tonight. Thanks again to Casey and to Scott and everybody coming out and joining us here tonight for Mustangs Mic'd Up.
You've been listening to Mustangs Mic'd Up, presented by the SMU Cox School of Business. Your inside look at all things SMU athletics. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Mustangs Sports Network.